Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin today's session, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. Let me bring in our speakers for today's session.
Hello,
There you go.
hello. We are live
Hello,
now.
hello. So, Alexi, let's start with introducing ourselves.
Yes, I will start. So, hello everyone. My name is Aleksi Partanen, and I work as a data architect and team lead at Cloud One. And funny thing is that I will be working for Cloud One for approximately a week now, since after that our company name will actually change. But I cannot tell our new company name since it hasn't been announced yet publicly. But it will be announced on next week. And also, some of you might actually know me from YouTube, since I have a YouTube channel where I make Mux Fabric related content. And I actually have there quite a popular series on DP700. So after watching this video, if you still need some more DP700 exam prep material, you can go to my YouTube channel and there's a QR code that will take you there. Then I also have this website called certiace.com that offers free practice questions to certification exams like DP700, DP600, DP900. And those questions are like custom made, so you don't find similar questions anywhere else, but they will practice you for the exam. But yeah, I think that's enough about me. So what about you, Raitse?
So, hi, my name is Raitse Eskens. I'm working for a company called Actians in the Netherlands. I've been doing that for 13 years, mostly as a Microsoft Data Platform specialist. As you can see on my list, I've got the MCT certification, whatever you want to call it, which means I'm allowed to provide official Microsoft training, which is very cool. I'm also a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, which is even more cooler because it's kind of an thank you for Microsoft for doing all the stuff for the community, which is really nice. But the most important part is on the lower part of my slide. My handle online is 2MeterDBA because I'm quite tall and I used to be a DBA and I still want to be a DBA, even in these times of Fabric. But also the link to my website, blog site, whatever you want to call it, I'm in the middle of doing a series on DP700. I'm not doing that one alone. I'm working together with Valerie Jung, who is mostly into the Power BI stuff, but is really growing into everything Fabric with data engineering and real-time analytics. But also, she's capable of doing videos, which I'm not. I mean, I can stand in front of a camera and talk to you like this, but that's about it. Don't make me record videos. So she's doing the video recording stuff. So that's enough about me. We're live, we're interactive. We've got two moderators who I will introduce to you in a few seconds. Say hi in the chat, but also ask all the questions you've got. Whether it is on how to take the exam, what to expect from those, but also on the content. Because the two moderators in here, Kevin and Asgeir, are really knowledgeable on all the stuff Microsoft Fabric. Maybe you've seen the blog post from Kevin. He's an avid blogger on a lot of DP700 stuff, but also automation. So you learn a lot from him. And Asgeir is just knowledgeable on a lot of stuff. So ask the questions, he'll know how to answer them. So you've probably seen this slide a few times before on what we've all or what this series has been doing. And we're in the last one. So we're going to prepare you for the exam experience. And we're going to run through a number of practice questions and other stuff at the end. But this is what it's all been about. As far as I know, you can rewatch the recordings if you want, if you need to learn a little bit more. And you can still ask questions in the comments there. So there's a discount for the exam, which is really cool. You can enter the detailed sweepstakes. Today is May 21st. The sweepstakes run until May 28th. Do you know these words are hard for someone from the Netherlands? So you need to hurry up to enter the sweepstakes and get your free exam voucher. But I think it's really worth it. So now, the first things to prepare for the exam day. Alexi, do you want to take over from here?
Yeah, I can take it over here. So now we are going to talk about what we are going to talk about today. So today we are going to talk about like preparing for the exam, and we are going to talk about these kind of things, why you should get certified, like the reasons and the motivation behind that. And then we are talking about like how to prepare for the actual exam and understanding the exam format and the scoring that happens, since the scoring is not really that straightforward as it seems. Like, you maybe most of you know, you have 1,000 points there, but how you get those points, it's not always that straightforward. Then we have also some tips and tricks for the exam day, and then we also try to answer some questions live here on the stream. So we have this open live Q&A session also. Yep, let's go to the next slide. So, why to get certified? This is one of the things that you need to consider when you start this process. Why do you want to get that badge? And what is the reason behind that? So here we have some words like that, why you should get certified: to demonstrate proficiency, get hired faster, get recognition, get rewarded, get promoted, feel satisfied. Okay, these are like just words, but as like data people, we like data, and we like to see some actual data behind these words, because for us, like data engineers and that kind of people, these don't really motivate us that much. So here we have some data behind those words. So 35% have said that certifications have actually lead to salary increases. And in my opinion, this is one of the best motivators to get certified, since I have quite a many Microsoft certifications, and I have actually gotten quite a many salary increases from those certifications, because those help me prove that I have the expertise. And also 26% have reported that they have been getting promotions after getting certified, which also probably leads to salary increases. But also getting promoted is one thing that could motivate you to get certified. And also, these certifications can be helpful in the actual real world scenarios, since 36% have said that certifications have helped them to perform complex tasks at work. So you will really learn some valuable skills when you practice to these certification exams and take them. And I have to say, because I'm a team lead myself, and I do quite a lot of recruiting at my job, and always when I look at the candidate CVs, I always check what kind of certifications they have. So that also indicates to me that what that guy or she knows when she's applying to our job, for example. So, but of course, I have seen also many people that have very fancy certificate records and not really know the stuff that well in practice. So the certifications are not like the whole thing. So also please learn those hands-on skills as well. But certifications definitely help in that. Then also 35% have said that they are more influential during cloud deployments. I think this is a little bit funny stat there, and I'm not going to dive that deep into that. Or do you want to say something about that stat, right, Seth?
No. When I'm looking at my own company, for instance, it's not that much influential, and more than people do know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important parts in my opinion, of getting certified, is that you learn to speak the same language.
Yes.
You know the theoretical basis, you know the language, you know the terms, and based on that, and you can have meaningful conversations and just save time.
Yeah. Yeah, we can move to the next slide.
I'm sorry, I was a little bit quick.
Yeah, no worries. Like, as you probably know, like data nowadays is really everywhere, and like data is exploding. But we don't have that many professionals who are like very good at working with data. So many companies have really a huge need for these professionals who know how to work with data and use that data to provide business values. So here we have some stats like that. 46% of businesses are recruiting for roles requiring some data skills and have struggled to do so over the past 2 years. So it is really hard to find like good data professionals, and which of course leads to that the salaries in the data profession are quite high. So for example, we can see that the average salary for data professionals is over 100,000 USD, and maybe significantly higher if we are talking about like a data architect role or some type of higher tier roles. And data and analytics are really central to business success nowadays. So that's also highlights why it is so important to have those data people working at your company. And of course, I'm working as a consultant and I help the companies who don't have the means or capabilities to recruit their own people. So I have been working for many companies and help them to build their own data platforms and data solutions. And that's basically my day-to-day job. But yeah, we can move forward. And do you want to take over now, Raitse?
Yeah, just a second. I was just wondering, as a consultant, you're certified. You can prove you've got the knowledge. Have you seen that it helps getting new jobs with new customers?
Yes, I have seen that multiple times. Like because in many cases, customers do want to see like consultant CV before they take the consultant to be as part of the project team that is delivering the solution. Though that's very typical case that people who have more certifications in their CV get easily to those projects as well. So that's also a one good point to get certified.
Yeah. So one of the things I've seen, apart from what you're saying, because I fully agree with that, is that having the certifications and in the end showing that you can also apply the knowledge inspires people at customers to take the learning tracks as well and get certified as well, because they see the value in having the certification.
Yeah, and of course, one point I want to add that, for example, I'm working for a Microsoft partner company, and those certifications are really important for our company as well, so that we can have those partnership tiers with Microsoft. That gives us a lot of benefit when working with customers, because Microsoft is helping us when we have those tiers with Microsoft. So that's a
Yep.
good motivator as well.
Same here. All right. So let's move on, because we could talk about this part for quite some time, I think.
Yes.
So let's do a quick overview of Fabric to make sure we're all on the same page. So if you're looking to take the DP700 and you haven't heard of Fabric, I'm not going to dig into everything there is. I'm not going to do all the slides you've probably already seen about Fabric. It's like bringing your data in the era of AI. It's like what the slide says. If you've been watching Microsoft build the keynote last Monday, you have seen a lot of AI. Everything is going to be agentic AI, agents everywhere, Copilot everywhere, Copilot everything. It also now Copilot is also embedded within Microsoft Fabric. So your data, it's no longer just moving data from the source system into a curated model ready for reporting. You can also leverage the AI part of it to later do more, to ask questions on your data. Use data agents to, for instance, and have conversation with your data. But all your data is in one location. They call it the One Lake, the centralized storage where all the data resides. And you can use a number of different items, as they're called, within Fabric to move your data from your source system into a lake house or a warehouse. If you're going to do real-time analytics, you can use an event house, model your data, and move it over to your presentation layer, whatever tooling you want to use, because you can use Power BI, but because there are different various SQL endpoints, you can also use other tools for that. So there's a lot of options to work with Microsoft Fabric. Now, if you've been following this entire course from the first one, you've seen a lot of stuff about Microsoft Fabric. I won't repeat it. I'll just refer you back to those recordings if you need to learn a little bit more, or to find community resources, because there's a lot of stuff online to learn about Microsoft Fabric. So let's talk a little bit about the Microsoft Certified Fabric Data Engineer certification. That's a sentence. So it's an intermediate level certification, which means certification isn't super easy. If you've done the 900 level certification, which are like the entry ones, you get 1 star for those. I'm not saying they're dead easy. You don't have to study for them. You can get certification, but they're not extremely hard. But when you're getting to this intermediate level, they'll get a little bit more difficult. So you need to study for these. It's not like I can guess my way through it and it will be fun. So there are 3 main areas you need to focus on, which is ingesting and transforming data, securing and managing an analytics solution, not the management of the entire Fabric environment, because that's the DP600. This is just analytics solution, and monitoring and optimizing your analytics solution. So there's a lot of analytics stuff you need to be aware of, and you should be skilled in all those languages, like SQL, PySpark, like custom query language. You will need to be able to not to write it in the exam, but you need to know how it works, what to do with it, and how to make the most of it.
Yeah, knowing the syntax is really important in this exam, in my opinion. There, so prepared to know the SQL and PySpark and KQL syntax very well.
Yeah, I was happy that I didn't have to learn DAX or M syntax, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not that good at DAX or M either. So I struggled with DAX in the DP600, but I managed to get certified. I did that like almost a year ago now, but I'm not that good at DAX, I have to admit.
No, and you're more like a front-end person, I think, than I am. So it's. I was happy that it wasn't this one. And coming from a SQL background, the SQL part for me was easy enough. But there's a lot of argument to also learn the PySpark stuff. I think it's one of the best parts of Fabric. All right, so how are we going to prepare? And to be honest, these apply to the DP600, DP700. In general, a lot of the preparation is fit for almost every exam from Microsoft you're going to take. So the first one is use Microsoft Learn. You can complete, you can follow the Microsoft Learn modules. I prepared a few browser windows in advance to quickly show you where you can find them. You can watch one of these DP700 Learn Together sessions. You can rewatch them. But be aware not everything is covered. So take your time and read the official documentation. Let me say that again. Take your time and read the official documentation. It's also on learn.microsoft.com, which kind of sounds like it's just a study resource, but Microsoft moved all the documentation to the Learn environment, if you will. There is a lot of it. You don't have to know it all by heart, but you need to know where you can find stuff. And for me personally, when I'm going through a Learn module and I think, I'm not sure what they're talking about, I'm moving over to the official documentation and read it to get to the bottom of it. Maybe that's me, but I just want to know how stuff works. We did the same, Alexi, and dig into the documentation.
Yeah, and I really want to emphasize that point, that in my opinion, for this exam, going through the official study path is not really enough. There are like links in the study path to like this kind of documentation that dives deeper into the subject, and I would really encourage you to click those links and read those like in-depth parts of the documentation about the subject, because that's skills are really needed in this exam, trust me.
Yep. Yeah, you'll need that knowledge. But the official Microsoft documentation isn't everything you're going to need. because there's a lot of community stuff out there as well. I mean, you can review the DP700 study guide. I'll show you at the end of the session. But there are a lot of community resources. At the bottom of the slide, you see a list of people who've written good content or made videos with good content of everything DP700.
Yeah, we can highlight there at least Kevin, who is doing the moderation in the chat. I think Kevin has that brilliant blog that you already mentioned. So go check out Kevin's blog. And then there is you, Rights, and Valerie, who are doing together the DP700 prep. And then, of course, I'm also there as well. So I have also that DP700 series going on my YouTube channel. But I think these community resources can be really helpful for you for your preparation. I would really encourage you to use them, because there are a lot of people who have made really in-depth stuff about this, like exam prep kind of material, and really use that, because I think those can be really helpful. And for example, when I was preparing to DP600, I also relied quite a lot of the community resources back then, and those were really helpful for me to prepare to that exam. Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be learned from all the community resources.
Yeah. Should we go to the next slide?
Yeah, already switched to the next one.
Yeah. Now it's there. Yeah, it's so similar than the previous one, but yeah. About a little bit about this, like practicing to the exam. There is that official practice exam from Microsoft that you can use to like benchmark your skills a bit. In my opinion, that exam might be a little bit easier than the actual exam, but that's maybe just a personal thing. Or what do you think, Rights? Have you tried that one out?
Yeah, I've tried it out. Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit on the simple side. On the other hand, it's really good to get a feeling for the way questions are asked.
Yeah, and about that, like the official practice exam, this is like how I would advise you to prepare for the exam, but this is just my way of doing things. If you already know quite a bit of stuff about Fabric, I would actually start with the practice exam. And this is just a recommendation how to optimize your time if you want to get certified as fast as possible. So my recommendation would be to actually start with the official practice exam. And then you can identify your weak areas when you do that. And you can see that, okay, for example, ingesting data is my weak point there. I really need to dig into the documentation about ingesting data. And then you just mainly focus on that. If you already have very high score from those other sections, then you don't need to prep that much. So you get this feel, what are you good at and what are your weak areas. But this is just my approach, how I would approach it. But everybody is also always different, so you can think about what works for you. What works for you, right? So how would you prepare?
I prepare a little bit differently, but because it's my preference to just learn the basics first. Because I don't want to focus on the stuff that I don't know enough about. I just want to get the full field. So I'm less efficient as you and than you are. But I would just want to get it all in and make sure I've read it all and I know what to do and what to expect from the exam.
Yes. And also now we have a very good point here that I think many people tend to overlook, that you can actually use the Microsoft Learn documentation in the exam. And we have this next slide about that. So basically, you can access the Microsoft Learn documentation in the exam, which is like a very, very good resource in the exam. But this can be a double-edged sword in the exam, because of course, your time is not like paused when you use to learn. So you have only that set amount of time in the exam. So you don't have like a ton of time to go through the documentation in that exam. And one good point about this documentation, that you cannot use this like control F type of functionality. So you cannot search things per page. You can of course use the learn search bar, but then you only find the page where that thing is that you're looking for, and then you would be able to navigate to the thing on that page. So you can practice using the learn beforehand before you take the exam. And in that learn, you cannot access your own profile and the Q&A section, but you can have pretty much access everything else in the learn.microsoft.com domain. And also, good thing to note here that this is not available for fundamental exams. So this is only available for associate and expert level exams. So in the fundamental level exams, you cannot access this documentation. So keep that in mind if you're planning to take like AC 900 or DP 900 or one of those 900 examinations that are those fundamental ones. But yeah, really be mindful about your time. And I would give my recommendation how to use this documentation in the exam. And it would be that please do not save it until the end if possible. So in the exam, you can flag those questions and put that kind of a flag that maybe I need to review this later, and put those flags and put in your best guess what you think the correct answer is. And after you have answered to all the questions, then you can come back to those. But also remember that in the exam, there are sections that you cannot come back to, but the exam will prompt you about those. So keep that in mind. So, but really be mindful about your time management, because the browsing through the documentation can take a lot of time. Do you want to add something, right, say, about the documentation?
No, just you've made the point very clear. Be mindful of your time. I've been there. Usually, I have 15 to 20 minutes left in my exam. In general, when I'm done through reviewing all my questions. But the first time I started using Learn, I had about a minute left or something like that.
Same to me.
Exactly what you say. You lose track of time because it's an extra window in the screen. As you can see in the screenshot on the slide that's showing right now, there's a really big bar, time remaining, and it's slowly getting lower. By the way, you won't get 8 hours for an exam.
Yeah, what's that 8 hours there? That's like
if only. It's usually about an hour or an hour 20 or 30 minutes, something like that. But you really have to be mindful of your time, because I've found from experience that reading the documentation, before you know it, you've lost 5 minutes just searching for one thing. So don't do it on question one. And be surprised halfway through the exam that you've got 5 minutes left, because that's not something you want to experience.
Yeah, I have also like struggled with the time management after this Learn has been implemented. So like I said, it's a double-edged sword in the exam. So it's a good tool, but be mindful about your time. But yeah,
absolutely.
Do you want to cover the next slide then?
Yeah, let's go to the exam format and the scoring, because that's where I've had some fun in the past as well. So when you do an exam, you get somewhere between 40 to 60 questions, something like that. It differs every time. You get a specific amount of time. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, not just multiple choice questions, you get other kinds of questions as well. So the passing score is 700 points out of 1,000. But what does it mean? It's like a number of points that sometimes don't make sense. So when you look at this this slide, you can see the scores range. Passing score is always 700, but it's not 70%, because you get a certain number of points in the exam, and you need 700 of those points to pass the exam. So one of the mistakes I made when I did one of my first exams is try and calculate if I was somewhere around 700 points, to find out if I had a chance of passing the exam or not. Not only did it take valuable time from my exam, it also increased stress levels, because I found out that according to my calculations, I didn't have enough points, which made the exam experience not the best you could have. One of the things you need to know is that if you're giving a wrong answer, there won't be a deduction of points. You can gain a certain number of points. If you got an answer to a question correct, you get a point. But if you don't get the answer correct, it's not like you're losing a point. So it's only adding up until you've got about 700 points. Now, some questions will show you there's a point for each correct part of the answer. As far as I'm aware, it's not like 1 point is actually 1 point. It could be 20 points in the background or something. In the end, it's not something you should worry about too much. It's like a scoring system in the background. make sure you get the answers in the way you want. As Alexei already mentioned a little bit earlier, you can flag questions that you're not certain about. I'm always flagging questions. I think my personal best is about 50% of the questions were flagged in the first round.
Oh, that's a lot. I usually maybe track like one third or one fourth, but I was thinking that I flag a lot of questions.
No, I'm sorry, I'm beating you on this one.
You have the new record, I think.
Well, maybe. But it just, for me, it's like a reminder. All right, I'm not entirely sure. Just flag it. I want to go on with the exam. I don't want to linger on questions for too long. Just move on, keep working my way through the questions. And sometimes another question will trigger the answer for a previous one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you're allowed to go back to the question, because there are, as you said, there are a few questions where it's like a one-way road. You select an answer, you click next, and you can't go back.
Yeah, but you will be always prompted about that you cannot come back to this question. So if you read the screen, you know that you cannot come back to this section.
Yeah, they're separate sections, and it's always very clear that this is a separate section which will be marked separately, and you'll be overwhelmed with warnings. The main thing is answer every question. Even if you're not sure, make sure there's an answer there, because if you don't fill in anything, you're 100% sure it's wrong and you won't get the points.
Yeah, we come back to that time management again and again. Yeah. So it's really important that you put in answer to every question. Make sure that.
So let's go to the what you can expect on the exam day. Depending on what you've chosen, because there are two options. You can either go to a testing center where a lot of stuff is handled for you, or you can take the exam at home. I'll talk about taking the exam at home a little bit later, because the process you'll see on screen is mostly about what you'll see in the testing center experience. Where you walk in, your identity will be verified. You need to empty your pockets. You need to drop your watch. Your code, everything that can contain something to record the exam will all be stripped away from you. So you've got nothing on you except the stuff they're giving you at the testing location. Because Microsoft, and I think it's fair enough, doesn't want you to record questions or make notes about them, whatever. Then the proctor will unlock the exam for you. You'll see the title screen with your exam name. Make sure you check it out. Really make sure you check it out, because you want to start the correct exam for the right person. I haven't had any experience that it was wrong, that I had either the wrong name or the wrong exam, but make sure that you're in the right exam with the right person. Then you need to agree to the non-disclosure agreement, and you get a number of instructions. Read them, please, because they tell you what to expect and what's going to happen. There's a small survey always at the beginning. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you get the exams, all the exam questions. Review the questions, start to stress out, then submit the exam for scoring. And the funny thing is you can provide comments about any item that could be improved. The only thing that bugs me a little bit is that there's a timer there as well. So at some point I had, I think, about 20 questions where I thought, not really sure, and I just ran out of time providing feedback for them. And then stress out a little bit more, because you will receive your result on screen. If you're doing a regular exam, if you're doing an exam which is in preview, you won't get a result. It's like, thank you for taking the exam, and in a few weeks you'll get the result via email.
Yeah, that's why I don't like to take those preview/beta exams. I would like to know immediately, did I pass or not? So far, I haven't actually failed any Microsoft certification exams, but maybe that time will come. But it's always this kind of a really exciting moment when you press the button, and a lot of anxiety pressing that button and seeing what happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did fail a few exams. For instance, my Azure Solutions Architect exam, I failed that one the first time.
Yeah, that's really tough exam. I have heard. I have
Oh,
not taken that one. I have only the DevOps expert engineer exam for the certification, but I don't have that one.
yeah. So you just get a message. I'm sorry, you failed. You get a printout of the result, divided in the main topics from the exam, where you can see I'm really strong at, for instance, data engineering, if you're coming back to the DP700, and I'm not as strong on another subject. So you get a general feedback where your weaknesses are, where your strengths lie. But then it's like, all right, now you need to retake the exam if you failed. You get the same printout if you pass the exam, again with the same bars where your strengths and weaknesses are, and then you can go on. When you've passed the exam, you'll get an email from Microsoft as well, where you can pick up your badge and share it with the world on LinkedIn and stuff like that. So that's when you go to the testing center. When you're doing it online, the most important part is finding the correct room where you can take the exam, because the proctor will ask you, or one of the things they will ask you is to do a 360 degrees videos of the room you're in. And based on that video, they're going to advise you to move stuff to get a bigger distance between bookshelves, for example. So one of the exams I took at home, I did a 360 video, and they asked me what was in the on the bookshelf next to me, and I showed them it were Donald Duck pockets. If there's anything not related to anything Microsoft and data, it's like Donald Duck pockets. Still, they insisted you need to move away from this bookshelf, because we can't tell if you're looking at those Donald Duck stuff, or there's something else we can't see right now, but that may be hidden there.
Yeah, maybe you had like a Max Fabric documentation in the Donald Duck pocket.
Donald Duck teaching Fabric lesson 1.
Yeah.
So it felt a little bit weird, but then again, I think it's fair enough, because they just don't want you to use anything that you're not supposed to use. But if you're going for the online exam, make sure your room is properly prepared. One of my coworkers did an exam or did an online exam, and at the end he just went to the shower. It was the only place in his house where there was nothing that could distract him. People wouldn't be able to come in because he could lock the door, and there weren't any screens, books, whatever. For me, that wouldn't be the perfect experience, but it worked for that person.
Yeah, I usually don't recommend taking exams at home if you have like a reasonable travel to the nearest test center. So that's so much easier, in my opinion, than taking at home. I used to take, I have taken like 2 exams at home, but then I used to live at a different place where I had a better place for taking them, but currently I couldn't take them because I would have to basically remove everything from the surrounding area, so that wouldn't work.
Yeah, for me as well. I totally prefer testing center. It's so much easier.
Yeah.
So let's move into tips and tricks for the exam day.
Yeah, let's cover those. So let's go to the next slide. So here we just have some tips and tricks for the exam. Basically, maybe you could download the skills and outline and practice the skills that are listed there. And also remember to complete the learning path on MS Learn that we already talked about, because that has a lot of material that will be asked in the exam. But like we said, like the learning path, in our opinion, is not enough for passing this exam. Even though you wouldn't remember it word to word, I would still say that you probably wouldn't pass the exam, or maybe just barely, because there are a lot of like in-depth questions that really require you to know the thing well. So also check that documentation that's linked in the Learn, and other documentation that is related to that subject. Like I said, review the product documentation and also Microsoft blogs. They could have some valuable information that you could need in that exam. And also you can have a conversation with with others and ask and discuss with them. But of course, you cannot go into specific details about that exam because that could actually break the NDA, if I remember correctly. So you cannot really discuss what was asked exactly in the exam because you are not allowed to talk about those questions. Then, of course, remember to schedule your exam. Schedule your exam, and it is always, in my opinion, good to schedule the exam when you start to practice to it, so you have this kind of a deadline when you are taking the exam. Of course, if I remember correctly, before like 24 hours, you can reschedule the exam. But always, if I wouldn't schedule my exam, then probably I get busy with other stuff and I don't prepare it, and then I just never take it. So it's good to schedule it somewhere so you have this deadline towards you work for, and then if you don't meet that deadline, then you just reschedule it a little bit forward. But that's like my opinion about that. And then of course, like, this is important, like many of us who are taking this exam, me included, I'm very busy with my consulting work and also with my YouTube channel. So if I would do a certification exam, I would really need to allocate time for it and find the time for it. And then, of course, remember the official practice test that will help you to benchmark your knowledge and check that do you really already know the topics that are covered in the exam. But basically, these are just like outlines what you can do. You are going to figure out what works for you after you have taken a couple of these like Microsoft certification exams, and then you find your own route how to take them and that kind of stuff. But yeah. Do you have something you want to add, Raitse, about this?
Yeah, I've, one thing. I do like to schedule the exam as a forcing function, but then again, I'm never scheduling an exam and then start the learning. I always get a little bit of the learning in to kind of sort of get a feeling how much time I think I'll need to get everything in.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that I don't want to get stressed out because I've got an exam coming up. I want to kind of sort of work comfortably towards the exam and then take it, and not be like, oh no, I've got my exam next week and I've got so much to do and I can't make it, because that stresses me out. And I think it's, especially for us people working in IT, we're already stressed out enough.
Yeah.
So make sure you get your time to prepare the exam and then take the exam.
Yeah, but whatever works for you. It's like everybody's different, so you can find your own style. So as you can see, me and Raitse have a little bit different approaches how to approach these certification exams, but the result is basically the only thing that matters there. So do we pass or not? So, and it doesn't really matter how many points you get from the exam when it's above 700. So it doesn't matter if you get 1,000 points or exactly the 700. I just saw a Reddit post from a guy who got exactly like 700 points and passed the exam. Like that was really cool.
I never managed to get exactly 700.
Yeah, me neither. Like in one exam, I barely got like above 700, but it was like Azure developer certification, if I remember correctly, because I don't do a lot of stuff with the things that are covered in that exam. So it was really tough one for me, and I was sure that I didn't pass, but it was barely above 700.
Yeah, one of the exams I failed, I think I got 640, 650 points. So that's like, oh, so close.
But yeah, that's really close.
Yeah, it happens. The thing I tried to get across was also there's no right or wrong way to prepare for your exam. Just do it the way that feels correct for you.
Yeah,
and don't take our approaches as the best ones, because you be you, essentially. Yep. All right, let's take a look at the study guide. Now, a really small disclaimer. Just before this session, my laptop decided to not cooperate. So I'm going to try and do a smooth transition to a browser, but it may be a little bit less smooth than I was hoping to do.
Yeah, because of rights, we were a few minutes late, but...
Yeah, it's always my fault. It's always my fault. So let me get this one up and go for the study guide, because this is the first part, probably.
We cannot see the study guide. We can still see the presentation, or at least I can. I don't know, but
I can see what's happening there. Let me stop. Whoop. Stop screen and present. Share my screen because I want to share the entire window now. Which means it's this one. And it should be there right now.
Yes, now it's there.
Thanks for pointing it out, Alexi. This is a study guide, so this will tell you everything you need to know from the Microsoft point of view. So you get a number of useful links on how to earn the certification renewal, your Learn profile, all the other stuff about the exam, so you can do it in your own language. Well, most of the languages. A few notes, and the skills measured as of April 21st, 2025. This is an important one because Microsoft changes Fabric, which also means they change the certification.
Yeah, especially Fabric is now changing quite fast. They're implementing new features basically almost daily, at least weekly.
Yeah, and again, I want to call out Kevin Chan because quite recently he sent an email to everybody who's following his blog post about the changes to the exam. So follow him, make sure you're subscribed to his blog post and get the emails, because he will inform you what the changes are on the exam. So there's a long list here, skills at a glance, and then these are the things you'll see on your report as well. Implement managed analytics solution, ingest transform data and monitoring. But there are a lot of subparts to this. So if you want to implement manage, it's like configure the workspace settings, and there are a lot of bullet points there. All these things will appear some way or another on the exam. So you need to know something about all these bullet points.
There are a lot of skills to cover in this exam.
Oh, yeah.
Really, it's not an easy exam. I really want to emphasize that it's not an easy exam.
Exactly, and the fun part is it's not like when you're, for instance, they're talking about ingest and transform streaming data. It's not that they're going to ask a question about the appropriate streaming engine, but they're also going to add something about native storage or process data by using event stream inside the same question. So things can be combined as well, which can make it extra challenging. But these are the main parts, and then there's a part on the study resources. Where you can find documentation, ask questions, get community support. You can follow Microsoft Learn for all the learning tracks, which is this one. If you are looking for the Microsoft Certified Fabric Data Engineer Associate, you get here, it's the intermediate level, it's for the data engineer. And right here, prepare for the exam. So these are all the tracks you can follow to prepare for your exam. These are all tailored towards the DP700 and will help you prepare for the exam, essentially. And as you can see, I have got here continue course, which means I did follow them, but there were updates. And then I can just click in, get in, and find out where the updates are. So when I go in here, you can see I've got a lot of stuff that I've already finished. I don't know which ones have changed, but within the overview, you can also see where you've left off. So for instance, if you were within this track, orchestrated processes and data movement, suppose you've only watched the introduction and then you had to do something else, you get a green check mark here. With all the others are not marked, so you can just click here, understand pipelines, and move on from that part. And you get these for all the different items. So before I move on to the practice exam, I wanted to highlight this one, Shabnam Watson's blog post, where she's explaining how she passed the DP700 exam. With a study plan and a Power BI tracker and a lot of other cool stuff. She's also created a YouTube video. It seems to be the hip, hot, and happening thing these days to do YouTube.
YouTube is very popular. I have also a YouTube video about DP700, like right after I passed it. But yeah,
yeah, a
very
lot of
popular
people.
thing.
A lot of people are watching the videos as well.
Yeah.
So, but Shabnam is just sharing her experiences and the stuff she's done, which I think is very valuable. There are more people who've done that. I've written a blog post about it as well, just sharing my experiences in general, not digging into everything that I shouldn't be talking about. So finally, let's do a quick practice assessment for the DP700. These are questions you might find on the exam. So this question, your organization uses Microsoft Fabric for data analytics workflows. I'm not sure about your experience, Alexi, but usually it's like we've got the company Contoso and it's using Fabric.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes.
Yeah. So they've got an issue and they tell us you need to implement a solution for effective monitoring of data workflows. So it's data analytics, data ingest transformation. So we need to configure alerts in Microsoft real time. Well, maybe. Do we need to create a Power BI dashboard?
No, I don't think so that we would want to do that.
I don't think so at all. Should we store data events in a data lake?
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Use Azure Monitor because Azure Monitor can do everything, right?
Hope it could, but
so one of the ways I'm always working through these questions, and you can see I'm playing around with Alexi a little bit in this one, is like eliminate the ones that are very improbable. Like, all right, Power BI dashboard, is it the effective way to monitor? Don't think so. Store data events, etc., etc. And in the end, you might find out, all right, maybe this is the correct answer. So you can either click on next to move to the next question, or you can click here and check your answer. By the way, this button is not available during the exam, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would be cool if that was there.
Yeah. So when I click check the answer is correct. I know something.
Yeah.
But also it will give you an explanation on why it's a correct answer and, most importantly, links. So I can click on this one to move to the learn.
Oh, bad request.
Oh no, that's my machine probably. But
Okay.
you can just dig into the learn content and check the details.
By the way, we have only 3 minutes left here in the live.
Good point. Let me move back to my presentation, which I'm afraid will be again stopping my screen and switching to a different window.
Yep.
Because I'm unable to prepare this one completely, but there we go. Let's take a look at study guide. We did that, which was fun. We had a look at a practice exam. So finally, yes. Again, as we said at the beginning, you can get 100% discount for the DP700 by entering the sweepstakes.
Yeah, you have 7 days still left.
Should be possible. They've got 50,000 vouchers, so
yeah, that's a lot. Like,
yeah, I wish
it
a lot
was
of
like the Microsoft 50th birthday celebration, if I remember correct. That's why it's 50,000 exactly. We have to wait another 50 years to get 100,000 from.
Everybody wins. You get a voucher. Yeah. You get a voucher.
Yeah.
So this also marks the end of this Get Certified with Experts session, because this is the last one in this list. You can watch recordings online if you want to. Probably ask questions in the comments and people will answer them. But let's go to this one. Maybe there are some questions online that we can answer live.
Yeah, let's see. We have only like less than 1 minute here left. I don't know if we can go over time. I'm not sure about that.
It is my fault, by the way, so it's fine. to go over
Can
them.
you fail if your dog barks? Was the question.
Yes, because if you are taking an exam at home and there is sound, the proctor will immediately kill off the exam. So yes, if your dog starts barking, it could be a reason to fail the exam because they just kill off the session.
And there's also, can you get partial points from questions? I think you can get partial points if you answer, if there are multiple choices in the exam. And then there is also one question for me: how many videos he plans to release for the DP700 exam preparation playlist? I have to say that I'm not entirely sure. It will be around 25 at this point, because I still have quite a many topics and big topics still to cover. Next video is going to be on the row level security and object level security and that kind of stuff.
Cool. So another question is, if you mark questions for review and the time is up, do they count with the given answer in case the answer is okay? Yes. So if you mark a question for review, it's perfectly fine. If your time is up, the answer that you've given will be the answer that will be taken into account to come to the 700 points total.
And now we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
So maybe we just thank everybody to joining this session and also this series together. So because this was the last session, of course, the best session was saved for last. Is something you want to say, right?
Well, it wasn't my best session, to be honest, because I had some hardware issues getting into this presentation mode. But thank you so much, Alexi, for helping me out when I was really stressing out.
No worries. Thank you.
And thanks to Pam and Rashmita as well, who are working hard in the background to make sure everything runs fine. And I hope you had an excellent experience today. And good luck taking the exam.
Yes, good luck with the exam.